So actually this is the first attempt of Xiaomi on stock Android. Many people really want to go out and buy Xiaomi phones, especially in India. People here love their phones, but many of them are not huge fans of MIUI. So this phone changes everything and it comes preloaded with almost stock Android. I really wanted to buy a black version of this phone because it is super hot looking color. Unfortunately, it was out of stock everywhere, so I had to stick with gold color only. I think gold color really depends on the personal taste. Likewise, the design of a phone is also a personal taste for each person. Some people will keep on teasing that this phone looks like that phone or vice versa. But if you have to have a dual camera setup, then this is one of the many design choices and ways to do it. When you pick up this phone for the first time, you really start feeling the premiumness of this phone. This is a pure aluminum body with glass on the front. You feel that you're holding something really solid and sturdy. Even the corners and edges don't hurt while holding this phone for too long. That is something a lot in this price range. Taking a look around the phone and you will not be disappointed. First of all, there is a USB-C port. Thank you, Xiaomi. And then there is your usual speaker grill and headphone jack. More on that later. On the right hand side, there are power and volume buttons. On top, you'll find an IR blaster to control anything which has a remote controller in your home. At first, I didn't know I would use it too much, but hey, I did, and I'm happy that they included one on this phone. And last but not least, there is a SIM tray on the left hand side, which can hold up to 2 SIMs or 1 SIM and 1 micro SD card. When a company has to design a really great smartphone in such tight price range, their options for having a great overall experience gets limited, and they have to start compromising on few things. In this phone, display is the one thing that takes biggest hit. It is a huge 5.5-inch IPS LCD display with 1080p resolution, but it nowhere matches the brightness of OLED panels. Even the colors are not so vibrant, and the accuracy is also not up to the point of other smartphones in same price range. If you're using this phone outside under direct sunlight, then you'll not face any problems with checking text messages or anything which is related to text. Watching a video or even playing a game on this phone is not a good idea if you're under direct sunlight. But the display problem is quickly covered up by other great things in this phone, like the battery life. I seriously didn't have any issues with this phone reaching the screen on time of 4 hours, and I can clearly make through my whole day. Speakers are another thing that will do a pretty decent job for many people. If you compare it with Moto G5 Plus, then this has a much better sounding speaker, but still, the speaker lacks some detail that many people enjoy on other phones. Next to the speaker is a headphone jack. Xiaomi made some good claims that their onboard audio chip will deliver the best experience and can drive most of the big headphones. And to test that claim, I compared it with my daily driver OnePlus 3T. In short, Mi A1 has a much louder output on my headphones, but the 3T has much more noticeable detail and true-to-life bass in the audio, which means they are much clearer. I would any day choose a clearer sounding audio than the louder one. Here is a quick rundown on the spec sheet. It has Snapdragon 625 CPU, Adreno 506 GPU, 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. If I have to summarize the performance part of this phone, then I would say just one thing. Mi A1 is a good balance of work and play. When you have complete stock Android on your phone, then your CPU does not have to worry about extra bloatware and unnecessary graphic elements. So it will do its job more smoothly and more consistently every time. In my testing of 2 weeks, I did not experience any hiccups when multitasking with the daily use apps. Well, here's how it works. If you just have to use apps like WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, or maybe even Facebook every day, and also play some games, then the CPU like Snapdragon 625 is more than enough. Trust me, you don't need more power than this. But when your day involves some heavy photo editing, video editing, or designing some CPU intensive documents, and even multitasking between a lot of Chrome tabs, then you may need to switch to some more powerful CPU and a better phone. But other than that, Snapdragon 625 is golden. Pick it up and you will not be disappointed. Whenever I test Snapdragon 625 chip to play games, I'm really surprised that how well a mid-tier smartphone CPU can handle games that were designed for top-of-the-line CPUs. This blows my mind every time. The software is one of the major highlights of this phone, and Xiaomi is giving a complete stock Android experience with just a tiny bit of add-ons. There are 3 Xiaomi applications pre-installed, although they can be uninstalled if you wish so, but I would not advise uninstalling the IR Blaster app, else you cannot use it to control your TV or AC. And then there is Xiaomi's own camera app. They included their own camera app for various reasons, so they can provide a better camera experience than the Google's own camera app, which has very limited functionality. Xiaomi's own camera app is also very limited when it comes to ease of use. The controls are a bit awkwardly placed, which make this camera app a bit more difficult. UI is difficult, things which can be done in 2 steps requires 3 or 4 steps, etc. If you ignore the camera software, then you can create some pretty decent images with dual 12 megapixel sensor. When outdoors, there is pretty much no problem. White balance is always on point, images have good amounts of detail in them. If you always have to capture most of detail, then I would recommend you to turn on the HDR feature if you're outside in daylight. Results are on your screen and you can judge if they look good to you or not. Personally, I feel that HDR mode is hit or miss. Most of the time it is a hit, but when it misses, the images look too over-processed and unnatural. 70% of the time, it's amazing. That second lens on the phone gives you an extra bit of zoom for your lazy legs, and if you zoom further into them after taking the shot, you will notice that they still look pretty nice and sharp. There is one more thing that the second lens can do, and that is unexpectedly more than good-looking portrait images. I was very doubtful if a phone in this price range would have good portrait images, but I was blown away. There are no messy edges, even on things like flowers, which are very difficult things to process for a portrait mode, and it does absolutely amazing job for people too. By the way, shout out to Mayank for being my portrait model. He has really good collection for menswear, and if you're in New Delhi looking for something good to wear, go check his Instagram, the link is in the description. When you move into some dark place, then this camera has a huge hit on its performance. You will start noticing noise and loss of color detail in the dark areas, and even the selfies taken in the dark lack that clarity and resolution people look for. But daylight selfies have enough sharpness for your Instagram stories. The video is another thing that this camera cannot do very well and misses a lot of things, like there is no any form of stabilization. And I would never use this camera for low light video making. All in all, I would say that if you know the limitations of this camera and you know how to tackle them, then this can still produce some great images for your day-to-day use. Here are a few things which might annoy you when you are using this phone every day. This LED notification light is just of one single white color. I mean, how the hell I'm supposed to know that which app notified me? If you unlock your phone with the fingerprint sensor when the screen is off, then it takes pretty long to unlock. But if you're on your lock screen, then it is 70% faster than the screen off. I'm sure that it's a software bug which Xiaomi needs to fix immediately. Stock Android is meant to have back button on the left side and app switcher on the right side. But I don't know why this phone has done it oppositely, and there is no option to turn on the on-screen buttons. This is a personal one. All these labels really mess up the clean design of this phone. If you search for battery percentage in settings, you will see an option but nothing else further than that. So why would you even pay for this phone when it has some silly problems? Well, Xiaomi has promised 2 major OS updates in future. Android Oreo and Android Pancake? I don't know. Maybe this is the next Android name, or maybe I'm just wrong. But that is a big deal. No other company is promising an Android P upgrade as of now other than this phone. So that means once you pay that money, you're sure to get OS updates for 2 years. And that alone can be the reason for many to buy this phone. And I think it's worth it. It's a refreshing change for Xiaomi with their first stock Android phone. And maybe we'll see more phones like this from them in near future. So should you avoid it, or should you shortlist it, or go right ahead and buy it? I think you can go right ahead and buy it for just one blind reason, that you'll get Android P on this phone. And if you're going to buy it, then there are links given below in the description box of this video. I highly encourage you to use those links. This will help me make more unbiased videos like this. Like this video if you liked it, share it if you loved it, and subscribe if I can help you more with such videos. Until then, take care of those pixels.